Hello, this is the philipfiles. My name is Philip Fansteel. And at what point do we give up all hope? I remember my wife and I, we had at the time 2, 3, maybe 4 kids, I don't know, but we bought a minivan. And that was the point where we were like, okay, we're now a family. You know, with 1 or 2 kids, you're kind of still getting into this whole kid thing. But when you get a minivan, I think we got a minivan when we had 2 or 3 kids. Forget exactly. But minivan, okay. But you can still kind of pass under the radar. You know, a lot of people have minivans. All right. So you can still kind of fit in with mainstream society. However, in 2009, I think it was, we bought a 12-passenger white, ugly Chevy Express. It's a great utility van, fits our family, lots of space. But at that point, we had gone too far. I mean, you can still fit in with a minivan. All right, you can have some weird beliefs. All right, but okay, once you buy that Chevy van, the passenger van, you know, then it's like, oh yeah, you're one of those breeders. You know, you're one of those. Are you Catholic, Mormon? What are you? So, with my personal beliefs, I've always been a little countercultural, if you will. I've always kind of enjoyed being the devil's advocate, in a way. Not the devil, I don't like that one, but let's say an advocate of some sort. I like to argue the opposite. Not to be mean. If somebody's not enjoying, I'll stop. But, you know, I like to think, and I like being challenged with other views. Well, it started innocently enough this year. I'd gone to Israel about a year ago now, and I came back, and that opened my... Of course, I've always been very pro-Israel, and then coming back, then having questions, and starting to research things, and then I think even October I posted on my website about this. But then the Super Bowl, right before the Super Bowl, I started hearing about the Illuminati and stuff, and I'd heard about this before, the Bavarian intellectual group that may or may not have played a part in the French Revolution. You know, that's the historical Illuminati. Well, if you check Wikipedia, that's what you'll see. However, in our modern culture, there are now people going around flaunting, you know, the pyramid, the eye, Horus, you know, the eye thing, whatever. And so they're flaunting these things. And then, so I started doing some researching, and we were studying aliens and students. So it's the students' fault. It's my students' fault. You made me quit teaching. No, you didn't really make me quit teaching. But, oh, by the way, I quit teaching. This is first week of school ended, and I was not there. Didn't have to do lesson plans. Didn't have sub. I just wasn't there. I don't feel bad. It's like, I mean, I like teaching. I really enjoyed teaching. But I'm not there. Anyway, so it's my students' fault. No, it's not their fault. But anyway, back in January, I remember exactly who they were asking me about the Illuminati. We were talking about aliens and all this kind of stuff, and so the Illuminati kind of came up, and I started researching it. Well, that's one thing led to another thing, which led to another thing. As you start, and I think I did a blog on this, as you start going down that rabbit hole, before long, you're buying the Chevy 12-passenger Express van. And you've jumped the shark, to use a Happy Days metaphor. But you've gone, you know, over the limit. Well, okay, so with that little preface, I was watching a commercial I saw this day. I you know, commercials are on all the time. They're ubiquitous, and we just kind of tune them out. Well, I watched this one today, and I was like, creepy. Because all you have to do to really be creeped out, if you know anything about alien disclosure, okay, so this is one of these conspiracy things. Alien disclosure is this idea that aliens do exist, and the government knows about them, and has actually known about them for 60, 70 years, maybe Roswell, probably before Roswell. But it's been secret, kind of like the Men in Black storyline in a way. Well, at some point it's going to become too obvious, or the needs are going to become too great, and the governments of the world will disclose to the people, the sheeple, that aliens do exist, and we've been conditioning you through TV and movies and all this to accept them. we knew if we just came out with them 47, it would have freaked everybody out. So whatever. So that's the alien disclosure. So I'm not an expert on this, but it's one of the things I've read and seen. And you could, once you're familiar with this idea, you start seeing a lot in movies and TV shows and comics and video games and all this. All right. Well, this commercial, just take AT&T out and DirecTV out, and just think that they're about to make an announcement about aliens. So I'm going to watch the video with you, and I'm going to comment as we go. Okay, so here's the video. People in Times Square, everyday life, things going on. They're all on their technology device. All of a sudden, EMP attack. Something goes wrong. Catastrophe. But okay, now we're in Kansas, in the Wizard of Oz. So we've been transported. The world has changed.
After this,
Wizard of Oz is also famous for the first Technicolor color film. Now you have obvious aliens saying the new frontier, where something's changing. Wow, this is cool. You have Neo, or you have Morpheus. Fantasy. It's a fantasy. So you have all this. I'm gonna pause the video right here real quick. Whole new world. So they're introducing. So just think. Forget about AT&T and DirecTV for a second. And if this, this could very well fit for the alien disclosure. That's what I'm kind of saying here. So the whole world changes. And one thing about the Wizard of Oz, some people say that author that was actually talking about the gold standard, how the gold standard would keep us all safe. And of course, we've now way put that in the past. Now we got all this money floating around that has no value in either. But we won't go there. So so a whole new world, brave new world. Alex Huxley, whatever his name was, Huxley. We have this brave new world. We're gonna, everything's changing. Okay, let's go back to the movie or the commercial. So kids are like, wow, they're not scared. Beautiful friendship between humanity and the aliens. People are like, wow, and Project Blue being there, I guess. So you have the beautiful friendship of these two unlikely friends, and now part of the family, human family. So okay, so that's the commercial. Now, when I saw that, I was like, oh, creepy. Okay, so I know it's just a commercial, but here's the thought. Looking back, we can always say, like 9/11, they often say it was a failure of imagination. Osama bin Laden had attacked us before, and the embassy bombings in Africa, and we couldn't imagine he would do something like this. Well, whenever it comes to conspiracy theory people, a lot of people are like, that's just crazy talk. Maybe, but just because you're crazy doesn't mean people aren't trying to get you. That's the quote goes. But tonight I was watching a movie. I won't even mention the movie. It was not very good. But in the movie, the character was trying to connect all these dots and all these things, and so she had this big wall. She put all these things on the wall. She had, sometimes you'll see it in the crime shows as well. They're trying to connect all these things, trying to figure out the puzzle. What if all the pieces are out there? And I think they are. And I'll try to get into detailed explanations of different pieces and different puzzle things later. But the pieces are out there. And I think this alien thing... Now, just to let you know where I stand on aliens, I don't believe in aliens. However, I do believe there will be beings that present themselves as aliens. The Bible calls them devils or demons. I don't believe in extraterrestrial life. Interdimensional, from the second heaven, from these angels, fallen angels, and of course I think actually the Bible talks about good angels coming down as well. But the ones that are going to present themselves as aliens are not aliens. They're fallen. They're the fallen. Satan, Abaddon, Apollyon, these different creatures that you read about in some of in the Bible. They're in there. They are, but also in some of the extra biblical, like Enoch and some of these other books, Jubilee and these different books. Is it just a failure of imagination? It's out there. The pieces are there. I don't know when this would happen. Now, some have suggested this could be what Pope Francis will tell the world on September 24th. No. Some people have suggested maybe a cataclysmic. I mean, I kind of see. Well, I won't get into the two. Well, why not? If you're watching at this point, you obviously either really like me, I'm saying something good, or you fell asleep and the video's just playing. But I think I said this earlier, but World War II is an incredibly complicated war. Okay, and I've studied that in Cloak and Dagger, the espionage, the back and forth, even the motives, and incredibly complicated. Jesus sums it up in one little line: nation shall rise against nation. That's it. Now we're entering a phase where things are even more complicated, because the Bible says that the end times is going to get crazy. All right? It's going to get cray-cray. All right? And things are going to get so complicated. People are going to be deceived. It's called the Great Deception. All right? People are going to fall away. So to say that it should be all obvious, that's complete nonsense. It's going to be complicated. It's going to have to be something that people dig into. And really, and they're going to be wrong sometimes, but really try to figure it out. Because it is complicated. The devil, if he just came out and said, hey, I'm Satan, worship me, the gospel has taken a hold over the last 2,000 years. And I don't think it would work. Okay? But Satan wants to be worshipped, so he's going to have to present himself as something he's not. Enter the alien. If Satan could present himself as the alien savior, and other people have written about this, and then maybe empower a human or a hybrid human, the Antichrist, with the power of this angelic being. And this sets us up for some weird stuff. Anyway, so that commercial, I think things are complicated, much more complicated than we realize, and we have to be willing to get them into that. Or we can just keep, again, the scene, they show The Matrix there. The Matrix is a great film, but it also has some weird stuff in it. Like Neo's passport says September 11th, or September 1, 2000, or September 11th, 2001, which is odd. But he says a lot of people. One scene where he's walking with Neo through the Matrix, he says these people they don't want to know. They're going to be your enemy. Actually, the people you're trying to set free can become your enemy. Actually, let's watch that clip.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was... Look again. Who's it?
This isn't the Matrix.
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
Okay, so I love that scene in The Matrix. Such a great movie. They should have made some sequels, but alas, they did not. Don't tell me otherwise. Okay, so, complicated. Things are going to get complicated. And that's okay, though, because we have kind of the outline of how things are going to work. It's called the Bible. Prophecy reveals to us. But people, I don't want to, whatever. Well, it's there for a reason. There's a lot, as Chuck Missler says, more has been written about the second coming of Christ than the first coming. All right? And actually, a lot more prophecies about the second coming. And it says people are going to fall away. There's going to be a deception. Okay, so with aliens, here's a off the wall. I'm already going down this rabbit hole. I'm already bought the 12 passenger van, and I might as well put a trailer on the back here and put a whole bunch of bumper stickers. Oh wait, we already have. So what if the alien disclosure, okay, is to introduce us to good aliens, but then there are bad aliens, which are actually same team, Satan and his minions, which is weird that we're worshiping minions now, or being friends of these minions. I've always thought of minion was a bad thing. I always tell my students, minions are bad things. Minions are stooges. You don't want to be a stooge. You want to think for yourself, but apparently minions are cute. But anyway, so Satan, all right, he sets up a war. He does a war between bad aliens and good aliens. Good aliens can protect us from the bad aliens, and then that gets us to trust the good aliens. Well, of course, the trick is they are all demonic and devils. They're all devils. All right. Meanwhile, on Earth, they're doing all these hybrid things, abductions, and all this. And there's a lot more. I won't go into that. But then that sets us up for these are the good aliens, and so we embrace them. They bring us their technology. They show us how to live forever. They give us technology, genetic technology, where if we just take a little bit of their code, we can live forever, which goes back to the lie from the Garden of Eden. We can be like God, have all knowledge, and live forever. And that could very well be the mark of the beast. The Horns, Nita and Tom Horn kind of talk about that, but this genetic splicing. All right, so anyway. But then, so they defeat one alien invasion, which was actually them, but okay, but they protect us, so we're grateful. Well, then they're like, and there's another alien invasion coming. They all kind of unite together against the second alien invasion of this pissed off, whatever. I can't even think of the mythology now. But in every mythology, the good guys have the bad gods that they fought against. Well, if Satan presents himself as a good god and then presents God in Jesus, the return of the Messiah, Yeshua, as the bad God, then that would make more sense. Because why? I always wondered why the whole armies of the earth would gather together to fight against. As Psalms 2, I think, says, why do the nations rage? And the kings of the earth imagine a vain thing. They gather themselves against the Lord and against his anointed ones. Who in their right mind would try to take on God? I can understand taking on Christians, because sometimes us Christians can be a little cray-cray, and sometimes we can do some stupid things, and sometimes Christians have done terrible things. Don't get me wrong, we have done that. But to take on Jesus, what? You know, what do you think? You think you can win? So, but apparently in this situation they do. So here's how I can see this playing out. You know, at first they save us from something. Maybe they defeat some of their own. You know, it reminds me of a scene from North by Northwest where they're talking about the Gestapo in World War II to prove that they were, you know, like somebody would try to infiltrate the French underground or something, and to prove that they weren't Gestapo, they'd kill another Gestapo agent. You know, and that would prove that they weren't Gestapo, right? And of course they were. They'd betray them later on. That was mentioned in North by Northwest, the Cary Grant movie. But what if they do that? That kind of a switcheroo. You know, we think we're so naive sometimes. You know, the devil, he's just gonna come and we're gonna see him with the horns, and no, he comes as an angel of light. He's gonna masquerade. Anyway, so that little, I'll put a little link to the video. It's the commercial. It's very interesting. Just turn off the volume, or just think, instead of AT&T DirecTV, just think Alien Disclosure. It's kind of cool. Thanks.
After this, there is no turning back.
History is replete with turning points.
This is great.
Where fantasy becomes reality.
Where are we going?
The future, boys. Glorious future.
AT&T and DirecTV are now one, bringing your television and wireless together and taking entertainment to places you'd never imagine.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful